Hello, hello, hello. This is the Poet Podcast, and we are on Sky's Crescent Radio. I'm your host, Dale Novella, founder of The Rec Life, also aka Dale Novella Presents, because I'm presenting this podcast. Yeah. And I have a lively panel of beautiful people with me today. Let's see, who are we going to start with? We'll start with Baxter Wordsworth. Yay! So Baxter Wordsworth is a lyricist. Mm-hmm. He is a host of many things. Mm-hmm. He is a coffee connoisseur.
Yeah, that's true.
He is aware of black leather jackets.
That's factual.
And he's a good person most of the time.
Depends on who you ask, but yes.
Yes. How are you doing, Baxter Wordsworth?
I'm doing rather well. You know, it's 2019. We're more than a quarter of the way into this mofo. Life is good. It's not without tumult. It's not untumultuous, but tumultuousness brings triumph.
Triumph?
Yeah. You can't triumph over nothing. You need problems to solve. Anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, life is good. Hosting the poll will be televised.
What's the poll will be televised?
I'm glad you asked. The poll will be televised is a monthly poetry musical jam session hosted by me, put together by Dale Novella, featuring the unnamed band, which includes the member Jade Zabrick, who is facilitating this lovely show that we're on right now. Yay. It happens every second Wednesday of the month at Silvana's, which the address is 125 116th Street in beautiful Harlem, New York City.
Actually, it's 300
what?
116th.
It's not 125?
No, it's 300 116th
I don't believe you.
Street.
I'm going to look at it right now.
It's definitely 300.
I don't
it's right off
you.
the BC on 116th Street.
Then what's 125?
We don't know.
I don't know. It's probably
we're
Texas
gonna find
chicken.
We're confused. Someone's confused.
Listen, my whole life is a lie. I did say it was.
Are you even from Queens?
I did say I was born in Harlem.
Chill.
I did say it wasn't without tumult. So here we go. Here's some tumult for you guys. But yeah, that's me. I'm Baxter. Good to meet you guys.
The wordsmith Wordsworth. Thank you for being here, Baxter.
Thank you guys for having me.
And next on our list of amazing, beautiful people on our panel is the one and only international hip-hop legend. Hip-hop education superstar.
Accurate.
Producer of many a thing, including 3 different programs at the Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Actually, more than 3, but it's okay. It's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Keep going.
Soon to be
Keep
my
going.
road dog in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Been my road dog in a few other countries. And soon to be my husband. McCallamine, how you doing today?
I'm all right.
You all right?
I'm all right. I don't like rain. I'm not a rain person.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's not like you would have not been able to come. But
it's
you know.
Very true. Very true.
What do you have going on?
So, very proud and excited to announce that the Passport, which is the next...
Wait, what Passport? What?
My new album. It's going to be dropping May 17th, featuring artists from Hungary, Germany, Italy, France, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique.
And the United States.
So really excited about that. It's been about a 5-year sort of journey as I kind of toured these different places and just building with various different artists and writing songs with them, and it's finally we're finally at the end road. I also
wait, you're in the end game?
Chill.
Where's that
no snaps.
Where's that sound effect machine?
Yeah, right. Where is it? We need a snap. And then also the project that I've been doing with Willie Green the last year and a half, we are probably going to be announcing very soon when that's going to release. We're at the end of that.
Who is Willie Green?
Willie Green is one of the most ridiculous producers, engineers on the planet. Super, super dope cat. Amazing individual. He's worked with people like Billy Woods, Warren Britt, among many, many others. Really, really dope dude. Really, really dope dude. So really excited about that project, but more to come as it kind of finalized. I don't want to I've already let out too much, but I've been talking about working with him for a while, so it's all good.
Sweet.
Yep.
Thank you for being here.
So how do you want to do you next or you end?
I can end.
Okay.
I'm distracted by Baxter's live feed. Follow him, that ninja words with a Z. And now I'm on I Am Lee Anderson's live feed, and she's the person we're introducing next. So she has recently become a little blonde cutie with a little blonde afro.
Yes.
You've been a blonde cutie for a while. She is a fabulous singer-songwriter. She just dropped her debut full-length album at Joe's Pub to much public acclaim and Yellow Roses and shit.
Nice.
That just happened.
I love Yellow Roses. I
Yes.
do.
In addition to being an amazing R&B singer, a very accomplished R&B singer, she's also my sister. Thank you for being
Yes.
on the show.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Aw. Okay, so what else do you have going on?
Well, yeah, the album, I'm just continuing to push that. I just dropped a remix today for my song Wait For You, which is one of the most popular songs on the album, despite the fact that I don't have a video for it. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
People want to wait for people. I guess that's what the season it is, but it's okay. But I just dropped a remix, and I have a show coming up at Rockwood Music Hall on May 31st, and it'll be a live recording. So if you want to come and shout some kind words in the audience and make the live album, that would be dope.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which stage are you going to be on?
Stage 3.
Sweet. That's the one that's like downstairs.
Yeah, in
It's
the
all-
little cove.
It's the speakeasy.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love a good speakeasy.
I know you do.
They don't even have. You can't even.
I try
get
to bring you
in.
to one all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being here, Lee.
Of course. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, my sister.
So, last on the panel, but not least, Miss Sadea. And I think I always pronounce your middle name, last name wrong. I say Rayema.
You got that right.
Okay.
In description, at least, because people are confused about what the second name is.
Oh.
It is my middle name.
Yes.
Yeah.
People do that to me a lot, too. They're
Yeah.
like, I'm like, my name's Dale Novella. And they're like, why do you have a different last name from your sister? I'm like, okay, pause.
Right. It was a thing for a second. People were doing it. Although I'd like to think that I was one of the pioneers.
Yes. As you should be. So, singer-songwriter, Berkeley graduate, manager of the stars.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
I'm like, I haven't managed anybody in years. I quit that. But
it
yes.
can be tough.
Thank
But you did
you.
it, and when you were doing it, I remember you were very good at it.
Oh,
So-
well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do appreciate that. I've transitioned into self-managing for a bit, and now I have an active stand-in helping manager, which
Nice.
is really nice. Really nice. But yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back. I had the honor of performing on the live show, The Poet Will Be Televised, about 3 years ago, I think. This is when it was
something like that.
it was still at Funkadelic. And it was really awesome. So I got to work with Dale, and she agreed to do backgrounds for me, which I was really excited
on the
about.
Solange song. I was
Yes, I know, on the Solange song.
Yeah.
Super easy ones. No, they weren't. They weren't easy ones. Dale was like, "What?
Yeah.
How about we just?" I was like, "I can do it, Dale." But you stuck in there with me, and it was awesome. It sounded really good.
What do you have going on now?
What do I have going on now? So I am focusing on finishing my full-length EP. I don't know. That means like 7 songs.
Okay.
Which I'm excited about because it's kind of, I've been talking about it, but I didn't have like an actual date, know? And I still don't have an actual date, but I have an idea. So I'd like to release it in the fall. I'm actually really working on finishing that up. I am going to release my new single called Baby in about a month. Cool. It is a mid-tempo love song, which I'm excited about because I tend to write a lot of, kind of inspirational music and, get through music and things like that. And so I wanted to write something a little bit more uplifted and lighthearted and, happy.
Yes.
And can I tell a funny story?
Yes, you can tell a funny story.
So I wrote the song, and for me, it was just a nice, wholesome love song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once it started getting out to the people, and I started getting, just feedback, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is Baby making music," and I was like, "Wait a second." Not my intention, y'all. But I have decided to embrace it.
Yes.
So we got that Baby making summer banger coming for you. Check it out. It's called Baby by Sadea Rahima. And yeah, I just did my live show taping at Brick a few weeks ago. That was pretty cool. So that should be airing in May. And otherwise, I'm just working on all these things and keeping it going.
Well, thanks for making time for it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Sweet.
Now
least but not last.
Oh.
The Okoye of my life.
Yes.
the soul stirrer of the actual universe, not the MCU. Talented singer, entrepreneur, world traveler, master educator of babies, large and small.
Nice.
The incomparable Miss Dale Novella. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's up? What's going on with you?
Well, I'm waiting for the end of the school year.
Yes, as we all are. Shout out to teachers. If you teach, it's funny. I don't want to cut you up, but we were in Dunkin' Donuts, and there was a little man with his father, and Dad was definitely done.
Yeah,
he was doing really well. He was doing amazing. He was being really fatherly, but
he was exhausted.
He was exhausted.
He was like, "I need some coffee."
Yeah, he's like, "We're done."
Yeah,
cute little boy though. He was great.
And he was apologizing to us about his son being so overactive. And we were like, "We don't really care. We're teachers." He was like, "Thank you so much for what you do."
Yeah.
No, true, for sure.
True.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm waiting for the end of the school year. Before the end of the school year, actually, right before the end of the school year, I would be marrying the man who just introduced me.
Juneteenth.
On Juneteenth.
Oh,
Juneteenth.
yeah? Oh, I like that.
I'm a bridesmaid.
Yeah. That was all Dale.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just love being black, y'all.
Yep.
We jump in the broom and everything.
Yes.
We're also, like I said before, we're going to the Netherlands
2 weeks
for the New School Rules Festival.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be singing and rapping and doing some hip-hop, soul, lovey-dovey stuff over there. And what else do I have going on? I've been working on this covers EP for so long. And I keep pushing back a release date. But I have 2 songs completed, and I wanted 2 more songs done. And I'm thinking about just releasing it, because it's not...
50%. You could do it.
Yeah.
You could do it. You got this.
You're also throwing mad events. You got Soul Cypher coming up.
I do not have Soul Cypher coming up. We're actually on a hiatus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Soul Cypher's on a hiatus, but we're gonna be back in a couple months. But we do have the Poet will be televised on Wednesday.
Yeah. Who's our feature?
Our feature is Nefertiti Gold.
True story.
So that's gonna be fun too. And yeah, me and Macau are featuring at the Poet next month.
What?
Yes, we are.
How could I ever introduce you guys?
That makes sense.
I'm gonna have to do so much
Wedding
research.
day.
Well, it's exactly
Wedding
a week
month.
before our wedding. Yeah.
Maybe I'll trek all the way to Harlem for that.
We should have a mock wedding. I don't know.
That's actually was kind of the idea. To have
you can still be a bridesmaid.
I'll bring flowers and candles.
Mm-hmm.
We do need candles, actually.
Right now, we do need candles, but I'm in the process of ordering them. But yeah, that's what I have going on,
Lit.
and then hopefully, after I put out my covers EP, I'll start seriously recording more for my album. Because right now I have 10 demos done, but on my USB mic, so that's not gonna work.
It's a process.
It is a process.
It's a long process.
Yeah.
It takes
one
years.
song.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
Don't rush it either.
Yep.
But while we're talking about songs, I did want to know, what is everyone's favorite song to put them in a good mood? Mine for a long time was either Juicy by Notorious B.I.G. or Real Love by Mary J. Blige. Those are my songs that were just no matter what happened, I was just happy. And Macau's looking at me like, you never listen to those songs.
No.
It's because I'm
That's
always in a
not
good
the look.
mood.
No.
With you.
That's not the look.
Yep.
It's the one song. I gotta pick one song that puts me in a good mood, that's I'm just like,
hey, listen, you don't have to live with it for the rest of your life. But without a shadow of a doubt, "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen. I've never heard a song that encompasses having a good time so like complete like that song. It's just a freaking anthem of goodness from the beginning to the end. Do you know the song?
I think I know which one you're
Don't
talking about.
stop me now.
Yes.
You wanna have a good time. Anyway.
It is.
It's just a brilliant band in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Their production and their quality. It's just they just produce really, really perfect songs. If that makes any sense.
Every member of Queen
Yeah.
has written a number one song. Every member.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Do you know that the new front runner is the one from American Idol?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Adam
Lambert.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a new lead
singer.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's hard to match, right?
It's-
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
Freddie
like
Mercury.
Freddie
Freddie
Mercury,
Mercury,
right? But
yeah.
he can actually like.
Men are from Mars,
He's-
women are
he's
from Venus, and
comparable.
Freddie's from Mercury.
Did anyone see the movie?
not yet.
I haven't.
I want to see it.
If I want to listen to Queen's music, I'll just listen to Queen's music.
Right.
That's true too.
But you could study Freddie Mercury anytime. There's so much information about him out there anyway.
Yeah.
He's a very interesting man.
Yeah.
But while everyone's thinking about it, we're gonna take a listen to Baxter.
Oh, no.
Rile up the people at the Poet Will Be Televised.
All right.
Y'all be some clever, creative motherfuckers, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Tell me you're okay. Are you okay? Are you okay? How you guys feeling? Are you feeling good? Is life alright? You don't gotta lie, yo. There's nothing wrong with not being okay. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes shit just ain't right. Sometimes shit don't go your way. But you know what? It's a choice whether or not you're gonna stay down. You know what I'm saying? We all get knocked down, but are you gonna stay down? You gonna stay down? Y'all say no. Ready? You gonna stay down? Nah, y'all didn't do it as a family. Do it as a family. You're gonna stay down? You gonna stay down? You get knocked down, but you gonna stay down? You getting knocked down, but you gonna stay down? You getting knocked down, but you gonna stay down? Nah, you ain't gonna stay down unless you staying down for the cause, right? Sometimes you get beat, but when you get beat so hard, you take a moment and you say pause. But sometimes you get beat, but that don't mean you gotta stay there. Sometimes life just ain't fair. And you gonna stay down? No. That's right. You're not gonna stay down.
All right, so that was Baxter Wordsworth, and that was a clip from the last Poet Will Be Televised at Savannah. Once again, the Poet Will Be Televised is coming up this Wednesday. We used to have sound effects. We need to get those back.
We never really used them, but
But
whatever.
those are the Halloween ones. We don't want to use them.
I'll take them.
I like Halloween sounds.
Right.
Is there like a moo ha 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 laugh?
Oh, moo ha 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 ha.
Well, speaking of laughter,
Is that the?
can anyone come up with a couple songs that put you in a good mood?
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
yes,
Yeah, I got a couple.
McCalamine, what you got?
De La Soul's Ego Tripping, and then De La Soul Stakes is High.
And then
Yikes.
De La Soul's what?
That was
What the second
appropriate.
one?
Stake is high. Stakes is high.
Steak is high? What
Steaks-
about those songs makes you?
Well, Stakes is High. It's just a very just the beat. It's just really uplifting, and just it kind of is like the sort of mindset I have of just overcoming odds. So usually it's a thing that kind of gets me pumped up.
Mhm.
And Ego Trip's just a really just dope song. So I'm a word nerd, so I like lyricism. So that gets me hyped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee, what about you?
It seriously changes every week.
Mm.
But I go through the song so frequently, it's like, okay, I'm really done with it because I play it like 100 times a week. So last week was Oh Happy Day. I love that song by the Edwin Hawkins Singers. So the original one, and it's just I'm still playing it on repeat, but it's a perfect song. Like the song, the music construction, the live instrumentation, the feeling from the lyrics, and the vocal content too, like the high quality of his voice just in general. It just puts me in a good mood, makes me really happy. And it makes me want to text the song to the people.
Nice. I really thought you were going to say something about Gucci Mane.
Oh, I haven't listened to Gucci Mane in a while. I don't know why. but when I do, it's it's on repeat for a few days. Like, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. I'm a dog. But I'm not trying to manifest that into my life right now. So
Yeah, I have to think about that when I think of my old favorites. I'm like,
I know,
that's not
wait.
the life I'm trying to have in this
Exactly.
present moment.
Right.
listen
Good.
to the music that you want to, you know, make
Right.
show up in your life. For
Yes.
real.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
Let's see. So my all-time favorite singer, songwriter, musician, entertainer of all life is Michael Jackson. So when I listen to Baby Be Mine, it just like lights my whole being on fire, and my soul, and my spirit, and it's just good. It's just good.
do you think there's
the
a
melody
oh,
is
sorry.
crazy. Sorry, because I'll go ahead. Yes.
Do you think there's a big difference between light-skinned Michael Jackson and dark-skinned Michael Jackson?
Well, I mean, I guess like difference. How, I guess. So yes, of course, because it was like 40
yeah.
years too. You know what I mean? Or like
Yeah,
30, 20
that's
years,
true.
whatever. So when you say like white-skinned Michael Jackson at like 45 versus like dark-skinned Michael Jackson at 12, you know what I mean? Like that's 2 lifetimes.
Well, how about when he first went solo to like black and white? Like his first solo album, the differences between that and like,
so that was
black
what,
and
like
white.
Dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was on his massive, massive pop appeal decline, right? So that's when that started to
Yeah.
happen, because Dangerous was the first one that didn't sell nearly close to the others. So, I think it was a reflection of just his internal turmoil that he no longer had a hold on. You know what I mean? And then it just continued. But he's still brilliant, right? So he still had like, even like, what do you call it? Invincible, which, I think you just have to really be a fan to like know it existed, because it wasn't on like this pop kind of realm. But like he has bangers on that, and that's when he started to get back to his R&B roots, and I was so excited. I'm like, yes, MJ, because I call him MJ because we close.
Yeah.
That's my cousin, but so Baby Be Mine. And then if we're talking like kind of nostalgic throwback 90s, like Looney's 5 on it every time.
Oh,
I'm
really?
just ready. I'm just
Did
ready.
Did you see the movie that just came out? Did it change your feeling about the song at all?
No. I was like super hyped that it was in the that they chose that one for that scene. And then sorry, I've taken over.
No,
What is no, I can't think it. Sorry. It will come back to me.
Does anyone ever listen to their own songs when they get in a bad mood?
Not necessarily in a bad mood, but when I lose the drive within myself, because being an independent artist, you kind of have to be your own label. You have to be your own support system. And so if I do listen to, like, to be honest, I listen to my whole album when I get ready after my Buddhist chants. But I listen to my whole album on my meditation music, just so I can remember what I sound like and why I'm here, my purpose, and what I have to offer. I just have to remember my brand, and you can't sell it if you don't remember what you do.
That's real.
That is real.
I listen to my own music and like I forget that that's me. I'm like, damn, this guy's good. I'm like, I wish I could write like this. Like,
Hey,
who wrote
there we
this?
go.
Yay.
I definitely listen to my own music to get kind of like sort of a grounding in what I do. In particular, Midnight Sun, Recognize. It's funny because most of the songs that are my favorite songs are usually my fans' not favorite songs.
Really? You know what? I did a
lot
radio
of people
show
like songs
last
that I'm
week.
like, they're okay. The songs that I love, people are like, that's your favorite song?
I did a radio show last
Sweet.
week, and D Nasty the Master told me that Real Recognize Real was one of his favorite songs by you.
People like Real Recognize Real, probably because it's the Brazilian influence in that record. So it's definitely got like a groove
Brazil
on it.
recognizes Brazil. Sorry.
Yes, wrote that
You
record.
just had to do it.
literally wrote that record in Brazil.
Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Did you use musicians from Brazil as well? the
So
track?
Zajaza is a DJ and
He's
producer.
a French DJ.
French DJ. So we didn't have any live instruments on it, but
Mhm.
all of the records were actually bought in Porto Alegre, and they're all Brazil-influenced jazz and samba music. So while we were on tour for about 2 weeks, we did about 4 shows, and then in between that time, he just did some crate digging and just like all exclusive, just Brazilian music. And then all of the artists that were on the record, besides myself, besides the Rabbi Darkside, We're the only two American English speakers on the record. Then there was 3 crews from there. So everything was all Brazilian based. But yeah, technically the musicians were Brazilian. They're just on record.
Rabbi Darkside also shot them. He just won the EO Dub MC Challenge.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he
Yes, he
did.
did.
Yes.
3
And that was a really fair fight. And we're going to listen to Khalik Sim next.
Won it in front of the
This is called Civil War. Will you disown me when you realize I have an opinion? Will you attack me when I am rational? Will you ostracize me when I choose to promote freedom? Will you shred at my character when I try to evolve? Will you question my intelligence when I inquire? Will you silence me when you have nothing to utter? Will you collude against me? Will you forget empathy? Will you remember community? Will you join me as a skeptic? Will you embrace my logic? Will you clasp my energy? Will you break the polarity? Will you disown your ignorance? Or will you fall captive to their thirst for civil war? And the last one is called Young Heathen. I got 1 minute. Let's do this. The world can crash, yet all I fantasize is about her mouth scaling my erection. Bombs keep dropping around the globe. However, I don't want this explosive Netflix binge to end just yet. Countries face water shortages while I bathe under unrestricted waste. The meat on my chicken bones still cling on while in the trash bin. All the while, I am pastful. I am gluttonous. My lights maintain power despite the fact that over 1 billion live in the dark. I am a young activist with passive convictions. I am a young heathen from Babylon. Thank you, guys.
All right, so that was Khalik Sim, and he had presented 2 poems at the poet will be televised. The first, he called Civil War, and it's about fighting fair. The second is more of an erotic poem. It's a love poem. And I wanted to see what y'all thought about fair fighting. Does our society teach fair fighting? Does our society teach fair fighting in love?
Our society, as in like American society?
American society, or just like
Definitely
the
not.
version of American society you grew up in?
Well, so right now, if anybody's listening, I'm going to do an in-game spoiler. It's an in-game spoiler. I don't want anybody to get upset by me.
What? I'm
Stop.
about to be upset.
Stop. Have you not seen in-game?
I have not seen it.
Damn it.
No.
She already said it off air.
That's right. I
Yes,
forgot.
don't spoil it.
I'm not. But without spoiling it, I will say this, and people who've seen it will probably understand. Yo, I think America's idea of justice is closer to revenge than it is justice. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
So like,
Lee's about to write a song.
so like,
She understands me.
previously, like the ideals of our heroes were to like capture someone and bring them to justice. You know what I'm saying? Like they oftentimes the highest the heroes with the higher morale would not kill under any circumstance, right? But that's not how America gives us our heroes. Our heroes are always the people who like something happens to them and then they go outside the law and then they murder that person. You know,
and
Or they rewrite the law so that it's legal and they can just do it anyway.
But I'm talking, but in fantasy, that's not what happens. Like in
Yeah.
in the movies, that's not what happens. Our movies, it's always like a John Wick or like John McClane, somebody who like. It's not about catching them and bringing them to justice. It's about murdering them. And I feel like America.
John McClane was a cop, so he was.
He still wasn't trying to arrest anybody.
That's true.
Like,
but he was definitely like. The perception was that what he was doing was inside the law or whatever.
I mean,
John Wick
but-
was an assassin.
But I mean, those are just two like instances I'm using. But I'm just saying, like, oftentimes our heroes, at the end of the story, the villain is murdered. It's not like it's not like brought to justice. And I think like America is becoming more aligned with that. I think we're way more comfortable with our heroes being murderers and people who take revenge today than we had been previously. Like and in the movie that I mentioned, like I think there's an instance where like it's just a straight up like damn, that person was murdered, like straight up and down, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was nothing else to be done in that situation.
Yeah, I would say this. It's funny because you were just watching The View, and I was, as usual, kind of overhearing it in the background as I was doing something else. Our Attorney General Barr was just with the.
Sorry, I watch The View like every day.
You act like my dad.
Yeah, she watches The View every day.
Yeah.
So does our father.
I mean,
yeah.
I watch soccer every day, so it's we have our things.
Yeah. Sorry, that's the only reason why it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside familial joke.
Like daughter, like
Yeah.
father, father like daughter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah.
But our Attorney General, what they were talking about in The View is the fact that, like, this Attorney General was essentially lying under oath or was trying to redirect the argument away from the fact that there was things that he knew about that Mueller had told him to do and information. And I think, kind of answering your question, I think because America is so obsessed with power and is built basically on unjust power, there's nothing in our history that shows that we fight fair. The very concept of it isn't something that really kind of reflects for us. If you look at our president, essentially what we teach is might makes right. So if you have the means to control, take over, do what you want, then how you do it is completely justified. What matters most is, do you actually have the control?
Right.
We don't really have a society in America, and I'd say in Western culture, that really typifies the ideas of integrity or like fair balance. And we can go all the way down to relationships. If you think about just how media portrays the relationships between two people intimately. It's not very healthy. It's not very loving. And at best, it's usually a very superficial, contrived stereotype of both men and women, and very like simplified versions of how those interactions actually happen. If you've been in a real relationship of any length or depth, most of the interpretations of the relationships that we see are like laughable. It's kind of ridiculous. And the only reason why I think about this so much is because most of the young people I teach are high school students. So they're getting all of their cues from social media, from media in general.
Love and hip hop.
Yeah. They're but seriously
at
though.
least 3 of us in the room grew up on 90s R&B, and it's like that. If you were
Right.
tailoring your relationship to somebody's Tony Braxton songs, it was just terrible.
Right.
Your life was terrible.
Right. So yeah, I mean, the long story short of what I'm saying is no, I don't think so at all. There's nothing that I can think off the top of my head that reflects that we teach fighting fair, that most people know what fighting fair is like, because we don't even know what we're really fighting for.
I think it is
Message.
for control, like you just said.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I have more to add on top of that. I think you said it all, but I think that, I think it's for control. And I think that it's a lot of the world. You know what I mean? Remember, American culture as it is now was based on, the British separating from there and wanting to come here and control. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's what it was built on, and that's where we are. They also did that to most of the rest of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's able to kind of remain outside of that, I think, like Eastern culture, like Far East, I think their stuff is kind of more so based on, peace and serenity, and maybe not about the control and not about unjust things and manipulation, But outside of that, much of, the Middle East, much of America, much of the world, I think, is based on that one thing.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. Everything you said, I was thinking too, and then some.
Yeah.
Well, some people would argue that the West can't lose, and "Can't Lose" is the name of this next song we're going to listen to.
Nice. Dale was saving that.
Hilarious.
that was Tatiana Owens with Cant Lose, and her cover of, at the very end, it was a cover of Kiss. Hopefully everyone knows who sung Kiss. If you don't know, it was
Sunkiss. Sorry.
if you don't know who originally sung the song Kiss, it is the legendary Prince. Yes. So what I was thinking about when I was listening to this song, both Kiss and Cant Lose was kind of talking about different aspects of love and finding attractiveness in a partner. And I was wondering, what do y'all think makes a partner attractive?
To us.
To you,
Here we go.
individually.
Substance. Being able to
Substance.
connect and understand someone else's wavelength. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And it's much deeper and it's much more unique and rare and profound than this other superficial shit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I would go with completion. Completion. If you feel whole when you're with them, and you don't get tired of them. I don't know. It's kind of like a balance, and it's kind of like a new discovery too that I've just came across. But it like people are imperfect. They're not always healed all the way. But if they could complement you, and if you can balance them out, and you can actually have conversations where it's not awkward because you are there mentally and spiritually, then that's what I look for, and I love it right now.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like independence.
And a little bit of independence.
I like independence. And
Actually, a
Yeah.
lot of independence.
Yeah.
Versus we're
No,
like,
and-
I need to be able to leave you alone for
Right.
like 2 weeks.
well, no,
and
and
you'll
it's
still be
It's
there.
what
well, right.
And come back.
Dale, don't be saying that on. It's true though. It's true.
Wait, there's 3 of you. You're
I'm a Capricorn.
a Capricorn.
Capricorn,
Okay,
yeah.
so right before
Yeah.
But we,
Yeah. So, and just to kind of like tease that out a little bit, like, you know, sometimes when people hear independence, like, oh, you mean you want to be by yourself, or like you want someone that doesn't need you, and it's not that. It's more of, it's kind of sort of a little bit, I think, related to what you're saying, Lee, in the sense of you want someone that is a whole self already
Yes.
and has
Yes.
abilities and capacity. Because for me, a compliment is, it's like, okay, what you bringing and what I'm bringing, we put that together. Not like, let me like fill your stuff up because
Right.
you
Yeah.
missing this, or
Because-
I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff, so
Right.
you fill this gap. And it's kind of like, you got something dope, I got something dope,
Right.
and you're doing it and I'm doing it. And then what happens when we kind of figure out what's the new thing that's
Yeah.
going to be, but at the same time not losing yourself completely in it
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
You can't lose yourself.
Individuality.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
If you lose yourself, your friend won't like you anymore
Yeah,
because
you're not the same
you're not who you were
person.
attracted.
And not the
Yeah.
also the law of attraction doesn't work like that. Like, you know
It
what I'm saying?
doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have your own thing for someone to be
Mhm.
attracted to.
Exactly.
If your thing is being into them, like that, it's like a feedback loop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people like, you
And
know,
then there's just
Right.
screeching.
well, your partner probably loses interest in
You're
you.
talking about Saved by the Bell
Although there
screech?
are
No, like,
although
you know
there
when you're
are
holding a
some like
microphone,
toxic
but you're
people that are
standing
looking
in
for people
behind
like
the
that because they
monitor,
want to control,
and then
because they want to
Oh,
control.
Right, but that's not love
Oh,
at all.
yeah.
That's
Oh
like,
no, of
yeah,
course
yeah,
not.
yeah.
I'm just saying. There's actually there are people that
And-
like are looking for relationships where they can control people. So they're
Yeah.
looking
Yeah,
for
so
people like
they're
that.
looking for people who
It's
don't have a
extremely
strong
unhealthy.
hold on
And your
themselves.
question was, what do we
Yeah.
find attractive? Was that the question, or what do we find?
What makes a partner attractive?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think what you find attractive is a little different than what makes a relationship work. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like what I would find attractive is communication, straight up and down. Because people communicate differently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the most important part of communication for me, currently where I'm at, is like a willingness or a desire to understand. You know, because everybody's gonna have their things. People have feelings. Nobody's perfect, and it's like at the end of the day, if you aren't even looking to understand, no matter how many conversations you have, it's not gonna work out. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So to be in a relationship, or just to see somebody who, like, when you speak, they're trying to like understand, that's attractive. And I
Yeah.
think, go along with everybody else says, what makes a relationship work is everything that everybody says. But it's like people often look at the work or like the completion of yourself as something that's permanent, and it's not, right? Like
It's not,
you
yeah.
might get to a point in your life where like I'm good, like I'm eating right, I'm like reading books, I'm like doing all the stuff that I need to do, but that might not last, and you might have a moment where like you like kind of dip below the line that you want to be at, right? And having a partner who, when you dip, they can pull you back up is like important, and then like you being able to do that for them, because that's like the partnership, right?
That's why we date.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the communication helps with that, and that's why that's attractive. But it's like, yeah,
Someone who like legitimately has your back.
right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's because they've
in your flaws and everything, and
Right.
not that they have to suffer for your flaws, but
Absolutely.
like, yeah,
right.
Yeah, they can't be a whole crutch. you know?
right, yeah,
Yeah.
Which I do see that too. Like some people are happy with being a crutch, and
yeah,
it's like,
because it makes
wait.
them feel,
Needed.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
Useful.
Yeah,
Useful.
but that's called codependent.
Exactly. you have to find another way.
And
to
that's
be
and that's
useful.
why independence to me is attractive.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
That's why a solid
why.
red chakra is
Yeah.
attractive to
A
me.
solid red chakra, yes, the root chakra rules safety,
What about
feeling
you,
safe.
Dale?
Yeah,
what do
Dale.
you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dale.
darling.
I'd like to know. What find you attractive?
Oh my!
I can't even say it.
I
I
mean,
can't even say it. I can't even say it.
honest, but
I know
mean,
the answer.
I mean, my big
Me?
thing is
Just say me.
kindness. Yes, Macau.
Ooh,
Just say
kindness,
Yeah,
yes,
Macau.
queen.
And
Yeah.
Macau is very kind, and he's very caring. He cares about everybody, and actually a little bit too much. Sometimes we have arguments about it, and I'm like, you need to stop caring so much. Like, you
I'm
can't
working on that.
control.
No, never.
You know, you
Keep
can't,
going.
you can't help everybody.
I got burned this year.
Yeah.
I'm working on not caring about a whole bunch of
But
people.
it's not.
Trust me.
But it's not
A
about
whole
not.
bunch of people need to not get cared
No,
about.
no, no, but
For real.
Boundaries.
I don't. Yeah. It's not about the not
That's
caring.
about it.
Boundaries.
Yeah,
It's
I
about
mean,
knowing
you can
who
still
you
care,
yeah.
but like
Levels,
don't
it's
let it
levels.
like
Whatever.
take over. you.
Levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you're
Levels.
sad because you care too much that you have
Yeah.
to chill.
Levels. Well, I'm putting people on whole different levels.
Yeah.
Boundaries going
Yeah.
up, fences,
Yeah.
all types of
Yeah.
stuff.
No,
We
but
doing all
seriously.
changing addresses. Yeah,
Absolutely.
witness protection, everything happening.
but I don't-
Yeah, I've
I
definitely
don't
dated
believe you,
people.
Macau, but
I've definitely dated people where like everyone thought they were such a great match for me, or everyone loved them. I was like, what do? And when I would sit down and think about it, I was like, has this person? He has so many friends, but what is he actually doing for other people? That's
Yeah.
just nice. That like he's not getting anything from.
Right.
And then there was nothing like I remember even asking a couple of people, and they'd be like, well, you know, and I'm like, so they've never just done something for you, like
When
just
it starts
to
like
be
that.
nice. And I think that when someone I just think that's really attractive when you're just willing to
I
do
agree.
nice things for people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, thank you, baby.
But it's not even about the doing the nice things, because like it's kindness, yo. It's like, what is your intention when you interact with people? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, are you looking? Is every interaction looking for what you're gonna get out of it?
Right.
Like, sometimes do you interact just for the sake of the other person? Or yeah, man, that kindness. I would like to change my answer and agree with you 1,000%.
Kindness. I'm guilty of dating some mean guys before.
Yep.
But I
hazed them.
remember
I was very
thinking-
mean to those people.
But I remember, but even just one, because after that I was like, oh wait, he's too mean to meet Dale. I'm never bringing him around. And then I'm never bringing him around Dale because he's mean. And then, but when you think about that, it's like,
Right.
wait, first of all, I shouldn't even be talking to or
Exactly.
entertaining guys that I can't bring
Exactly.
around my sisters.
Yep.
Right. Or who
So
are
that's a
mean.
whole nother lesson in
who are
itself.
mean.
Because
That's
you're
a
really-
that's a red
You're
flag.
really
Yeah.
nice. And you shouldn't be with not nice people also.
Exactly, I
Reciprocal
should
energy is
not.
important.
It's
Yes,
important.
Reciprocal energy is important.
You know?
Yeah.
Mhm. But I
Yeah.
learned that, and if you listen to number 14 on my
Oh,
album,
right.
you will
Yes.
understand.
Yes. What's the name of the album again?
Pronounced Lee Deluxe.
Love it.
Jay, do you have an opinion? Yeah.
Oh, I like the independence thing. I don't like it when when a couple becomes like one person, but I like to be able to like be separate. But yeah, I've also come out this weekend, this past week, on Troy's podcast as Polly. So yeah, I don't know. I love everybody.
Oh, as I was like, what are you talking about?
Polyamorous?
Yeah, polyamorous. Okay. I was like, what do you mean
At
you're
first,
poly?
I was
That's
like,
like
talking
your
about
statement?
Nirvana?
I was like Polly the is that a name like the bird Polly?
Yeah.
Innocent.
Yeah, I was like, what?
In the sun. Okay.
I'm
Memories.
like, is Polly a character's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this song.
Well, congratulations.
Love Nirvana.
So, what are deal breakers? We already talked about a couple with being mean, being codependent.
Deceit.
Yeah, I
Deceit,
can't
being a
stand
liar.
I can't stand a cheater, y'all. Can't stand
Yeah.
a
Just the
cheater.
sneakiness of it is not cool.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like how can we do anything? Like how can I even talk to you? I don't
Yeah.
now I don't feel like anything or everything that you say could potentially be questionable. And so I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once trust
Say
is
do.
broken, trust is
Yeah.
broken. It's really hard to gain trust back
Yeah.
once
It
it's
is.
lost.
It
I don't know
is.
if that's a deal breaker for me.
Deceit?
Yeah.
I think it's dark and evil and I want no parts of
I
that.
feel you. I'm
No
I'm
parts.
there. I'm super there.
To me, I think it's like intention. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like
Is there a good intention behind deceit? Break
Like-
that down
I
for
mean,
me.
I
some
will-
people are like, I
We
knew
about to
you would
get-
be
we-
upset, so
we're-
I lied to you.
we're
But
about to
then it's
get
like,
deep.
why did you do
So-
something that would make me upset?
Not okay.
so like like also I will completely admit like my perspective on like love in the world is definitely unique. But like so if you find yourself in a situation, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and they find themselves in a situation where they are attracted to somebody else, right? And I don't know. It's like I feel like some people. If I would have to feel like you don't give a can I curse on this? I don't.
Can we?
Yeah.
I think I curse all the time.
I
might
don't
be
know
the
if I
only
ever did.
person.
I think if I feel like you don't give a fuck about me, that's when I'm like, I can't do this. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I do allow people their humanity, right? So like, I can understand somebody. Like, I don't think cheating is like that unique a thing. I think people do it. I think it's part of humanity. I think if you found yourself in a situation where you liked somebody else and you made the wrong decision, that's not like the end all be all of somebody that I'm in love with. But it also depends on what happens after that, right? Like the communication we have after that, the conversation that like follows after that. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're really remorseful, if it's really like, yo, that's like, you know, because you've made a mistake. But if in those situations, I kind of get the idea that like you are doing it without any concern for me at all, then that's when it's like, nah, B. And that doesn't have to be cheating. Like, you know, if I just feel like you're moving without any concern for me at all, that's when I feel like I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but like I do understand the deceit of cheating. I do understand for that being a deal breaker for people. So I'm not like trying to like change the perception of that. But I'm just saying for me in general, it's like it's more about like, yo, is there love here or not? Like, you know, are you moving with love? Is this a mistake or is this like a deliberate part of your character to like disregard my feelings? Like, you know what I'm saying?
See, that's interesting for me because I feel like once. I don't know. I've had some experience. We've probably all had experience with this actually, but I feel like or at least when I'm talking about, I'll say I. When I'm talking about cheating, it is in that idea.
That's hyper valid.
Yeah, the intent is literally like that very definition means you don't actually care.
Right.
Because usually in a relationship, you're having those conversations, or usually what has happened, at least in my experience, is when that cheating has happened. It doesn't have to be physical.
Yeah.
It could be other things. Because to your point, I definitely agree with that. Like, it's the idea of like you're not considering me in the choice, and to me that's like a breakdown in communication of some sort. So for me,
Trust and respect.
right, exactly. Because if you're like, if we're using the physical, for example,
Right.
if you're having an attraction to someone or something, and we have a conversation about it, and we talk through that, or before you act on that thing, because we all do have the ability of self. We try to kind of come up with. This goes back to what we were talking about with the perceptions of like relationships and media. Like there's this idea like, oh, we can't control our urges. It's like, oh, actually, most grown adults can.
Yeah.
You definitely
You
can.
actually
Right.
that one person
You
you
make
want
choices.
to, that one
Yeah.
person you want to do, you probably gonna see them at another time. You could take a pause, go have a conversation with who you need to have a conversation with, or have a conversation with yourself before you act on the impulse. We like to have this notion like I just couldn't control myself. No, yeah, you could.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah,
control
under
when
the
you
influence.
pee and when you shit and all that other stuff. You can control when you fuck.
This is
Wow.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's. I
True,
mean, You don't just
this
go
is
around
true.
farting like
Yeah.
most people. Some people do.
So to me, there's something underlying, in my experience, there's something underlying going on there that makes you feel that you can justify the choice you're about to make, whether it's,
Right.
I mean,
I don't have the same feelings or whatever have
but
you.
human beings do that often. Like, I guess so. This is
Or they
Like-
just don't
afraid of
want to think about the.
communication.
Yeah, they're afraid of the communication in general.
or the
Yeah.
consequences.
Or
Of
they're-
course.
they're not
Consequences, yeah.
honoring the union though. When
Yeah.
they're doing that.
They're not honoring the union.
So then there's, you know what I mean? Like there's consequences too.
Yeah.
I guess the like, so oftentimes, like, I feel like people get married as a natural progression of a relationship, right? It's like, oh, we've been together this long, it's time for us to get married, right? And then, but like, and maybe this is just a personal thing, but to me, like, marriage is like a whole ceremonious
You gotta be
rich.
scared to look at me when you talk.
No, definitely not. Like a whole ritualistic thing, and it's like when you say to somebody like, "Yo, for better or for worse," right? It's like, "Yo, imagine this person did the worst thing in the world to you, right? If you wouldn't stay with them after that, don't marry them." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, yo, if this person
Or
cheated on,
marry someone who wouldn't do the worst thing in the world.
but that's not a for better or for worse situation. Like, for worse is in there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if this person cheated on you and you're going to leave them for that, don't get married. You could just stay in a relationship, because that's a relationship. Like, hey, you cheat on me, I'm out.
Well, I hate to say this too. I think the problem with marriage in general is this. As someone who has been married before,
Be careful, Mikal.
no, I know, very
I
careful.
know.
These are conversations we've had.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think
We talk about this all the time.
all the time. I think people put, especially in our society, this undue burden. In other words, all a marriage is no different than having a relationship. There's an extra thing put on it because of all of these things. No, and I hear and I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But I think that and I forget who we were talking to about this, but like basically marriage in a relationship in general is just every day waking up with the choice is like, I choose you. You're just saying that you are deciding you're going to do that for this one person forever. But what
Or
unfortunately,
you're telling the government that now you can tax this as
and
one
that's kind of
person.
really all right. It's kind of like
That's
we've in our society we've created sort of almost this like undue burden pressure on the idea of marriage being like,
Yeah.
well, I said it. Well, you said that then, but if you're not having that conversation with that partner, if you're not having that conversation with yourself
Yeah.
every day to make
Right.
that choice,
Right.
that's what really makes a relationship be is whatever. And you're right. I don't think that just because someone got a ring means that like that relationship is deeper or more valid or more permanent.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can break quote unquote vows without ever having the vows if you're making that choice every single day to say, I choose you. I choose what we've decided on, and we're constantly in a conversation to update those things and knowing where you're at.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know that cheating.
Yeah, it's
is less
different. I mean, there's different. There's
significant.
not one way. You know what I mean? Like, there's multiple ways to look
Right.
at it. So
Yeah, I don't know that cheating is less significant pre-marriage, which is, I think, something that you were saying. You know what I mean?
I mean,
it sounded like it's like, okay, well, it can be more acceptable in this space because you haven't,
Yeah.
taken that vow or made it.
No,
you know,
that's
Definitely, there are
super
definitely
official.
some people who think that way. I mean, there
Yeah.
was a whole movie, The Best Man, is basically about that, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
like the main character cheated on his girlfriend up until the point,
Right.
literally up until the point where they got married.
Right. But that's the level of deception that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's not just about cheating. And,
Right.
and I feel like whenever I say this, I often have to explain it further because people kind of automatically jump to that one space, which totally makes sense, but there's so much more. You know what I mean? But we're talking about like deception of integrity. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
like who I thought I was getting to know, you've known that it wasn't
Yeah.
all true. You've hidden this dark part. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You manipulated the situation. You manipulated me. You manipulated what I thought this was based on.
Yeah.
That's the like dark level of deception I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Right.
And you
That's
can go
deceit.
even darker and be like, because some people would look at cheating as like, well, if you're cheating on a long-term basis, basically every time you're having sex with your partner is essentially, and
It's a
this might
threesome.
sound extreme, but it's essentially rape because that person is not consenting to sex, like multiple sex partners or like sex with someone who's also having sex with numerous people. That's not what they're consenting to.
Right.
That's true.
Or just
So-
whatever it is that you're creating this facade of because you want me to believe this.
Yeah.
But you know. It's not like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, this was inside of me and I buried it and here it is. You know, that's the for better or worse that I can agree to.
Yeah.
But this,
Mhm.
like, fully conscious, I knew. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
hid it from you because I
Right.
didn't want you to see it.
Yeah.
That's foul.
No,
Yeah.
and I
That's a deal
I
breaker.
can't disagree with that.
That
Yeah.
I won't have.
Yeah.
Well, see, I have a lot of deal breakers. It's hard to pinpoint just one.
Yeah.
So I think it's just another song to write
If
where
they
you just
own
list it.
no pairs of loafers,
They
you
have to-
must
listen.
have a pair of
if they
loafers.
if they are not able to accompany me to something that requires a grown and sexy look,
Okay.
if they
yeah.
literally just don't have the items
Yeah.
at all.
But that's an easy fix.
That's
Go to the
easy
store and buy
fix,
the
yeah.
items.
Oh, it is if they're willing.
Oh, yeah.
What if
Yeah,
they're
but
like,
if they don't even have
Well, if
it,
they're not
it's
willing,
like,
that's yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Ah.
number one, you don't have it, so I'm just. I mean, that brings me to a whole other space.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm like,
like-
well, what do you do? Like most of the, like, you know, like, what do you do in situations that require more than like gym clothes? Like, what do you do? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, sometimes you have to, you know, be professional.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah,
you
girl,
have
I
to
can't.
dress up. Like, what do you do? Like, there's
You
so
said
many
only
things-
gym clothes. What?
There's so many things in life that you like actively choose to not take a part of because you don't
Yeah.
want to dress the part. So that's
Yeah.
alarm number one.
That's
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
that's valid.
If Dale was a Yankee fan, it'd been all over.
She did live by Yankee
I
Stadium.
did. I lived
You
across
did.
the street.
You know what? I was a little nervous when I found out that your pop was a Redskin fan. That was a negotiation in my head. I had to kind of like pre-forgive you.
Everyone
the
has
first
Free
time
forgive.
I took
I'm an
him
Eagles
home,
fan, by the way. So.
I took him home, and almost every Redskin fan from Washington D.C. has a Redskin room.
They do.
Wow.
And I apologize to anyone who might be offended by the team's name.
Redskin.
But, you know, that's still their name. So the Washington football team. So we went into the Redskin room, or the Washington football team's room in
That
our
team
house.
from DC.
And he was just like, oh, like this is a thing.
He was like,
no.
he was like, you hid this from me.
Time out.
No, I didn't. I didn't at all.
I love how you remember stuff. I knew people. Nate is a Redskin fan.
But
I've
he
known
doesn't
him.
have a Redskin room.
He did at his home. I've known
Oh,
about
okay.
Redskin rooms. I
So
wasn't
he
a
had
fan.
one at his father's house. He has a
Yes.
Redskin room. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Is Nate from Washington, District of Columbia?
He was born and raised.
Please say
Yes.
District of Columbia.
District of Columbia.
Yeah, no, he's-
Seattle?
No, Nate was
No.
born and raised. That is a. I was very
It's a
aware
DC
of that
thing.
thing. I had never
Yeah.
I had never been in an actual one though. That is true.
But you knew it was a thing.
They
I
have
knew it was a
space
thing.
He's like,
to
I've heard of
have
it
a
before.
Redskin room.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
space in the house to have
Yes.
a room dedicated to a
Yes,
sports team.
we
That's
do.
nice.
We
Yeah.
are blessed.
Right?
That's nice.
I
That
definitely-
Redskin room is our apartment.
Yes, basically.
Basically.
I
You
realized
can have a
that the
wall.
last time we were home.
Right.
Yeah.
New York.
Oh, I have another deal breaker.
I love our southern home.
Yeah, it's a great house.
People who don't like do anything, and like that. There's a
Yeah.
wide net
I don't
over
even
that.
know those people.
Well, you'd be surprised, but oftentimes, like and I try to figure out a different way to phrase this because I don't like saying, "Hey, what do you do?" Because like people usually associate that with how do you make
Job.
money
Right.
or
Yeah.
like whatever,
Right.
or what do you do to be successful? But it's like
A passion.
what are you interested in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people who like can't answer that question
Yeah.
boggles my mind. Even if it's like watch movies, even if it's like
Yeah.
read a book.
What bothers me, and this isn't really about relationships, it's more about my students. Like sometimes I ask my students about their interests,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know. And
Yup.
part of the reason they don't know, they do know what they like, but they've been told what they like or what they create is not good enough or it's not a real thing.
Right.
Like I had a student who would cook for her entire family, like every day, but she was like, I don't do anything but go to school. I was like, but you just said you cook for your entire family.
Every
You're
day,
creating
fam?
a meal.
Right.
And she was like, what? I was like, that makes you creative, and it gives you, like, that's something that you
She's
do.
a nurturer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, it just blows my mind.
And you're right. Kids are conditioned to like look at their interests with a different perspective. It's even like you
Yeah.
ask a kid, you ask like, I hate it when you ask a child who's like not over the age of 15, like, what do you want to be? And they're like, registered nurse or something like who
Yeah.
told you that? Like,
Yeah,
you know what
who
I'm saying?
told you?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
put that in your
I didn't
head?
even know there was a thing as a registered nurse. Like, I was like a nurse.
Right.
But, like, as far as, like, the distinctions, like, registered nurse, and then, like, nurse practitioner, and then I didn't know you could get, like, a doctorate in nursing.
Yeah.
But I'm
and
just
be,
like,
You're
a
a doctor
nurse.
I love it.
Doctor
You
nurse.
can get a yeah.
Yeah.
but I'm like, you're a child. Let your imagination run wild. Say
Yeah.
astronaut. Say freaking president. Like,
Say you want to make chairs and tables and
Yeah, some-
carve
like-
shit.
That's what I loved about working with
That's
kids
insane.
way back in my day.
Like
Yeah.
what do you want to be? They're like a freaking I don't know, an accountant,
I had a
That
little
guy,
kid.
The guy, you know, a
doctor or a
whoever
lawyer.
I'm
It's like,
looking at.
nah,
Actually
fam.
did have a kid tell me he was an astronaut, and he wanted to be an astronaut when I was working on Camp Kiowa in Kiowa
Right.
Island, And that was just so beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh.
Right. If somebody needs to look at that kid in the face and be like, that is possible.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
It
is.
ain't, it's not easy, but it's possible. Like,
Yes,
you know?
there's lots of ways to get that money, and we're gonna get into Troy Weeks Get That Money.
Ah.
The galaxy want me to do. Make the world go round. Time to get my piece of it. Ain't no time to play around. Fucking left behind. Broken happens faster than you know it. So you better pay attention. Get to what I'm some understand. Cause it's time that's all I'm saying. It's time to bust up in that coin with that toss up. Put your money with your brain is with that. But shit don't get cheating. Check on that power up. Money power up respect. Shoot along. I'm not to play with. I'm the boss. I'm here to play with. I don't care what you say. So move out of my way. I'm just this coming. Shape of ways so you know that ain't no time to play. Get you down and hit that ground. Hit take up and get this breakfast. Tell that DJ put it on. I'll be grind till it's on. I don't care what you say. So move out of my way. I'm just this coming through. Shape of ways so you know there ain't no time to play. Get you down and hit that ground. Hit take up and tell that DJ put it on. You ready? Here we go. Tell you this. Get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that, get that. That tell I had enough. I'm calling shots down, so if it ever taking control of this destiny. Because the wicked are losing control of me. Got these keys and I'm the boss now. I'm the shot of great shut it down. To the top, I said, to the sound of my mind and my mind, so big. Look my keys, so I can keep going. I just know what I'm talking about. We shot about. Let's make this stuff about. We shot about it. Let's make this stuff about. Let me just say, I don't care what you say. So move out of my way. About this time, I don't care what you say. So move out of my way. About this time, make this shit move me so you know there ain't no time. Take you down, hit that, hit that, hit that. Tell that DJ put it on. As you try to do it. I don't care what you say. So move out of my way. About this time, make this shit move me so you know there ain't no time. Take you, hit that, hit that, hit that. Tell that DJ put it on. As you try to do it. Get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that, get that, get that. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that money. Get that, get that, get that, get that
Money. All right, that was Troy Weeks with Get That Money. And you can see all of these videos on our YouTube page. Just search for The Poet Will Be Televised on YouTube or go to www.youtube.com/Royalty Entertainment Company.
Yes, queen.
That's really long. You can also follow us on Instagram. The link is there on our Instagram at the REC Life.
Yes, queen.
So, what advice would you give your younger self? I think all of us are transplants other than Baxter, right? He
I
kind of
guess. Yes.
transplanted from Queens.
Nah,
That's
son.
very far.
It's very
I
far.
know, right?
It's still New York City, though. Let's not get it confused.
What is the time zone out there?
Think they're an hour ahead.
That's funny.
But what would you tell your younger self about the hustle, the New York hustle? I would tell my younger self that it's fucking cold. Like, I don't know if I would talk about the hustle because I was already fucking hustling. But the temperature,
the
it's
physical
fucking
weather.
Cold. Yes.
You'd be like, it's
I
cold
didn't
out there.
know.
And your younger self be like, emotionless? You'd be like, nah.
You're like, both.
Bring a
Yeah,
jacket.
both. No, I brought jackets, just not a coat. That was the problem.
I would tell my
I didn't know
younger
what a real coat was.
I would tell my
Bring the
younger
puffers.
self to go where the love is, because I think my younger self spent a lot of time. I think my younger self spent a lot of time building with people in the spirit of things being collaborative, and it was very clear as time has gone on, it wasn't really about all of us doing it together. It was more about what were they gonna get.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have told them go where the love is. Find more love sooner.
Yeah.
Find more love sooner.
I would definitely have told my younger self to do other things. When I first moved to New York, I was very, very set on being on Broadway. I was auditioning every single morning. I would go out, get up, go to Ripley Greer Pearl Studios, whatever, and just make sure that I could get seen that day. Like, that was my main motivation. And I think my first 2 years in New York, I didn't really do anything else. I was, just set on that. And I should have been a little bit more open to other opportunities, because they're all the outside experiences are what shape you as an artist, not necessarily the whole hustle. You have to go to museums, you have to go to sports events, you have to do the fashion, you have to support your friends, because that all goes back into your art and growing as an artist, not just waking up and auditioning every single day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Big facts.
Interesting. I don't know, because every time I think of something, I have a counter, and I think I'm just I think I'm like so convicted in like the journey being what it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
So it's hard for me to say that you should have done this or you could have done that, because I think I did what I was supposed to, and that's why I am where I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are
So
you an
yeah.
implant? Are you
A
from somewhere
transplant?
else? Yes.
You said an implant?
It's an implant.
It's a transplant.
It's an implant, because you're inside in New York now. You're in.
But you were transferred from another place.
Right. I think I've always heard transplant, but
Yeah.
either way.
I say
But yeah, I'm from Boston. So when you were talking the cold thing, I was like, it's like Boston's actually colder. So.
Yeah.
Sorry, you
I've
did mention
heard,
that before.
Yeah.
Berkeley, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think if I weren't going to counter myself, I could have said things like, you mentioned earlier that I was doing a lot of like behind the scenes stuff for a really long time, which is totally fine, and I have no regrets or qualms about it. However, I guess I could have been doing this a lot sooner. You know what I mean? Like performing and kind of, but I just wasn't in that space.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to fight. I just wasn't there. And then when I was, you know what I mean? So it's just like, that's why I'm always like, I don't know.
That's the same with me. I definitely had dreams of being behind the scenes and just didn't really take my voice seriously.
Yeah.
Or just didn't really believe in my voice. And sometimes it still kind of feels like a daydream to be singing on stage as opposed to like, this is a real thing that's happening.
Yeah. I think it just manifests when it does. Like now I totally, it's totally fulfilling in my purpose. You know what I mean? But I didn't have that depth to it before. I didn't have that space. You know what I mean? I had really no desire. So how could I do it if I had no desire? Even if other people wanted me to.
Yeah, no
you know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of, it's weird. I think it's just what it was supposed to be, and here I am.
Yeah.
I align a lot kind of what you're talking about. The only difference, like, I definitely don't, like, I think I've made mistakes, and I think I definitely could have done so many things better or different. But I can't imagine, like, going back and giving myself any advice to, like, change anything.
Yeah.
Because, like...
That's how you learn.
Right. And it's like, I consider myself to be of a certain kind of, like, capability. Like, I feel very capable in myself, who I am now, in navigating, like, a lot of situations. And I feel like that's because I messed up so many times in so many ways with other things, you know? And it's like... You're just going to have to go through it, little Baxter, you know? Like, you're going to make mistakes, and, like, you're going to do a bunch of stupid stuff. You're going to, like, procrastinate on a bunch of things, and at the end of it, you're going to be me, and that might be worth it,
and
you know?
Right. Like, you can't skip parts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Skip growth,
Yeah, you can't skip parts.
Now, if I could go back and do things over, that's a different kind of, like, perspective. If, like, me now can go back and live over, then, yeah, I would, like, with the wisdom I have now, then I would navigate those ways with who I am now, you know.
Right.
But giving my younger self advice is like, nah, fam, you'll be all right. You'll be
Right.
me, like, you know.
You're gonna make it out.
Right.
I know this. You may
That's
not
real.
know now, but
Right.
you're gonna make it out.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be better for it when you
Like
do.
we're
this is what
we're okay.
Right, we're okay. We're
We're
good.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Ultimately,
you can't
go where the
miss
love
the
is.
lessons though, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make you the complete person that you are now.
And also, I don't think I've made any mistake that has been like crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't end up in jail. Like, if I would have done something that landed me in jail, I'd go back and be like, yo, Bax, don't go on that ride.
Word.
Like, you know what I'm
Word.
saying?
If I
Don't go
would've
into that
had-
store, bro.
Like,
Word.
yo, fam, nah.
If I would have 4 baby daddies, then perhaps
Right.
then I'd make some, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I
Yeah.
think I'm all right. You
Right,
know?
right,
It's
right.
like-
They all look different.
they all got different last names. They all
Yo.
I
hyphenated.
think that's the real problem when you give all your kids a different last name. I think that because we knew a woman growing up who like she had 4 kids and there were 2 or 3 baby daddies, but all of them had the same last name.
Yeah.
because she was like they're brothers.
Yeah,
you
right.
They're taking
like-
my last name.
Yeah.
which
So
is
they,
also-
had, so they had
clever.
her last name. They all had her last
I
name.
know-
Oh.
I know a
They had
family
her
like that.
married name to her first husband,
Whatever her
and
last
she was
name
not married to him anymore.
Yeah, but
Got
that's
it.
her name.
But
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah.
wisdom in that because psychologically,
wisdom in that,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
the way they grow
Yeah.
up, that
Yes.
affects them
Yeah.
crazy.
It
Like,
does.
you know
The
what I'm saying?
siblings are very tight and supportive of each
Right.
other.
Yeah, and
And-
people
Yeah.
wouldn't really think I don't think they would really ask them about it.
Yeah,
like
they wouldn't.
as opposed to like siblings we knew who had
Who had
different fathers, yeah, and different last names. Yeah.
You always have to explain that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And it's just as a kid, like when you grow up, like you take the world at face value. You know what I'm saying? So like eventually, like you start like, why does my brother have a different last name
Yeah.
than me? Why do,
Yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
never had to question those things about themselves and about their family.
Right.
That is dope.
Yeah.
Shout out to
I
that
do.
woman.
Yeah.
I do want to piggyback on what Mikal said about go with the love. Is that because I did I think about not so much of like in New York, but my younger years in South Carolina with middle school and high school, and or even college. There have been times where I tried to force relationships with certain girl groups that aren't where the love was.
Yeah.
And I didn't really walk away from it. Like, although, like, why would you want to be in a space where this person
Right.
is gonna go and say something and then cause a whole bunch of drama in with another girl? And you're like, well, wait, why do I have problems with this girl? Oh, because that girl.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for some strange reason, I still wanted to be friends with both of the girls,
Yeah.
despite the he say she say. When that's not love. Where I should have just stayed in the groups or not even groups, but hanging out with the people that showed me love right
Yeah.
off the bat and didn't
Yeah.
go talk
Or
or
just showed the love
misconstrue
wrong.
my
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And go with the love is that instead of trying to fight for it.
Well, but that's funny because like the love
Yeah.
might not always be where we want it to be. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah,
Which
but
is
why
what's
would
so
we
sh-
But
want
that's-
it?
Yeah,
that?
if
That's-
it's not where we want it to be, then we should reevaluate why we want to be
I
there.
mean,
And
Yeah.
that's
That's all part of
something
the process.
Right,
I'm
it's all
still
part of the
doing
process.
today. You know,
you have to learn that at some point, or you
Yeah.
have to continue to
Yeah.
learn until it's learned. So that's why it's like what you just described is a kind of general coming of age of all adolescents, really. You know
and,
what I
and
mean?
it's also like
Yeah.
And it's like it has to happen.
It has to
so that
happen, or you
can
keep
learn.
repeating it, and
Right.
repeating it, repeating
Right.
it.
It's actually interesting because I had it in my head and it just came out of my head. But I was having a conversation with Dale about some of this. But this is kind of what you were talking about earlier about, people that do things for you without thinking about what might be gained in return.
Oh, just being nice.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think about if we're talking about from the hustle perspective, and names to protect the innocent and the guilty. We won't say names, but I've talked with Dale about numerous people that have been instrumental in who I've become as an artist, as a person, and many of those people are individuals that I have like the utmost loyalty to because they've put me in places and positions for no other reasons and other than they just felt what I was doing and what I was about. And that's always remained consistent even to this day. So, people, there's oftentimes there's people that I'll talk about doing stuff for, and Dale's like, you haven't seen this person, whatever. And it's like, this person is been consistent in my career as an artist, as an educator,
as a human being.
So it's like whenever they call, it doesn't matter what it's for. It's like, oh, you need me? I got you. Like whatever it is.
Right.
And it's those relationships that I think matter more, but you don't always think about it because to your point, you might want to get to this one space. You might want to get to this tour. You might want to get this label or whatever have you. So you think about, well, maybe I should be going with these people, like you talked about with the group. Like, okay, well, this is popping, so I'm going to go with this group, even though it's just mad drama and it just doesn't feel like it's together, right?
But that's a warning sign to turn around.
It's a warning sign.
Yeah.
And the welcoming group will kind of get you there anyway.
Yeah, they're going to push you up.
They're going to push you up.
'Cause you
And
can't-
you'll be in the right state of mind, too.
At least for me, like when things are tumultuous, I can't really create.
Yeah.
You know, like it might, like when I'm under a lot of duress, I might write poems, but I can't like bang out songs and when I'm under extreme emotional duress. So if I'm around a bunch of people who are dramatic, they're not going to help me in my career anyway. You know?
Right. And it's also like, yo, it shouldn't feel that hard. Like in relationships, just around the thing. Like there's a level of effort that you have to put into it without a shadow of a doubt. So it's not going to be like easy peasy lemon squeezy. But like you shouldn't have to like chase people. You shouldn't have to like beg or badger people at the end of the day. It's like, yo, the people who rock with you, they do. Like, you know, and like that's why where the love's at is so real, and it's like a truth that's self-evident.
It's
you know what I'm
truth,
saying?
Yeah, love those who love you.
Right. It's like,
Period.
yo, and just look around. Like when you perform, the people who are there and who like show you that love, that's the love. Like, you know, when you drop music, the people who like comment and like, that's the love. And a lot of times artists get so focused on who's not doing it. Like, you know, they'll be like, you know, they're like, yo, I got 5,000 Facebook followers, but only like 200 people. It's like, stop focusing on the 5,000 and focus on that 200. Right. Like engage those 200. Tell them thank you. Send them some free songs or something. It's like, yo, think about the cup is half full. It ain't half empty.
That's where I'm at.
People's priorities be real messed up.
I mean, and it's human. It's human, right? You know, we're artists. We're sensitive about it. We want everybody to engage. We want everybody to love it, and they don't always. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just yesterday I was thinking about like, I feel oftentimes like some of my wordplay goes unnoticed or goes like over people's heads. Or
I
whatever.
never listen to anything you say.
That's that. You know what? It's fine, Dale. Because but like it doesn't go over everybody's head. Like people have told me that things they like. People have told me like, you know, and it's more fruitful for me to spend my time mulling over the love than it is the perceived negligence of it. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
right?
I find myself now, like, if someone pays me a compliment and it's helped with my psyche and, you know, my self-love, if someone pays me a compliment, I will chant it. If somebody be like, I love your voice, I'll be like, okay, I love my voice. I love my voice. I love my voice. I'll chant it.
Why not?
If somebody says it, and it helps you grow and it helps your self-confidence and it just helps you give more love, too.
And it's building on top of the positive energy that they put out.
Right,
you know?
Instead of focusing on,
oh, you're a fake-ass Beyonce.
I was called that last week, too.
Wait, someone said that? Wait, time out.
That's a compliment.
Wait, time out. Someone called you a fake-ass Beyonce?
Yeah, they did.
That's a compliment. Like, so what you're saying is you think I'm Beyonce.
I was like, I'll take it.
Hey, if I remind you of Beyonce, she's like the most successful artist in the world right now. So.
There's a certain etiquette when you're singing on the train. I sing on the train, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of my part-time hustles. So I get the first artist that sits foot on the train usually gets the platform. So if I get on the train and dancers are on there first, I either step off or I support their show, point blank, period. But sometimes I am, okay, if I get on the train and it's a singer that's like really, really bad, and I could, this is so bad, but if the singer is really, really bad and they're not really like trying to hustle or uplift the crowd and I have an amp and they don't, I kind of sing over them. So I was a little disrespectful, but the people on the train were happy because they're like, oh, finally he shut it up. But the guy that shut up called me a fake ass Beyonce. So
He was a hater.
I was like,
She'd be like, and you a real ass with Michelle and Kelly.
I think Max might be the only one that gets you mad because you styling on me.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Mad 'cause I'm styling on you. Plus the cow is on you.
I was like, I can't sit here and like have all this equipment and have these people suffer.
Yeah, buskers are.
He's like, I'm gonna show them what the love is.
We're supposed to make it happy. Yeah.
Also, what time of day was it? Because that's very important.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. It was like 7:00 on a Thursday.
In the morning.
p.m.
Okay, all right.
In the morning.
No, but that's
No one has time for that.
But that's just as
No.
bad though, because 7 p.m. Look, listen, as a 9 to 5 commuter, 7 p.m. on the way home, you want peace. So if someone's gonna perform,
They need to be
it needs
good.
to add to your piece. So if
Right.
you can sing
Yeah.
or you're entertaining, cool. But if you whack,
If you bad,
yo, I just came from work. this train's mad crowded. It was
Yeah.
probably late. Something fucked up probably happened on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nobody to destroy this little bubble I get before I actually get in the
Yeah.
house. So you better have some peace for me.
Yeah.
And also, just as an artist, yo, like, not for nothing, stuff ain't supposed to be easy all the time, you know.
True.
So it's like if you are somebody who like gets sung over and the kind of the crowd kind of like celebrates that, you need to figure out why.
Take
that's
that L, homie.
Like, yeah,
Take that L,
why
bro.
is
Learn.
that happening? You know?
Right.
Learn.
Yeah.
Learn.
Yeah, because
Take
if
the other L.
because if you
Nerd.
if you was doing your thing,
Take that lesson,
Right.
homie.
Yeah.
Well, guys, our time is actually past due. It was really great talking to everyone, but we're gonna have to take that train on home in our little peace bubbles.
Or ain't there
Thank
any
you all,
worries?
Sadea, Lee, Baxter, Macau, and Jade on the ones and twos. I'll see all of you at The Poet Will Be Televised on Wednesday, every second Wednesday of the month, and at The Poet Podcast.
Wait, what's
every
the
first day
date
of the
on
month.
that? Baby?
May
May 8th. Okay.
And the time,
8 p.m.
8
Y'all have a good
p.m.
night. Thank you for listening.
8:08.
love you, bye.